Okay, testing. Have to see if it's synced up or if it's still out of sync. That'd be annoying. So, anyways, like I was saying, I am working on the user dashboard. When you press this button, I'm trying to get it to save all these fields to the database. Ah, still a delay. That sucks. Yeah, oh well. So I'm trying to get all these fields to save to the database. When you press submit, it submits all these forms to this API page. And then right now I'm writing the code that is accepting the request, and it is going to check to make sure you're authorized to make the request. And then if you are, save what you submitted to the database after sanitizing and filtering out SQL injection and all that crap. And so once that happens, so for example, once you select Vulture and then you select the location as like Amsterdam, and then you hit rebuild now and submit, what should happen is it'll update these fields in the database, and then once they're updated, there's a Python script that I wrote, this main.py, and it runs every minute, once per minute, and it checks to find anyone who needs a rebuild done. So it'll see that rebuild was set to 1 or whatever, and then it'll check your location and it'll do the whole rebuild thing. So yeah, like the whole entire like idea is like finished in the back end, and now I just have to make like a user dashboard where you can actually update stuff in the database so that you can control like the changes and stuff. Hi, Ricardo. I am from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and thanks. I hope it does well too. Like I'm building it because like I really want to use it. So like I use VPNs all the time because I'm a security analyst and I do like penetration testing and like malware analysis and stuff. So like I'm always using VPNs, and I didn't like that the VPNs I was using were really slow. And another problem I had was like if you try to go to certain websites, like I'd go to like hack forums or something, and then it would be like, oh, you can't come to our website because you're using a VPN. So the IP addresses were like already being like they're already dirty, and like people are already using them for spamming and stuff. So they're already blocked from a bunch of websites as being known VPN IPs. So my solution was like I should run a VPN on a VPS. So I started running that for myself, and I found out that there's like a bunch of people online that they use a VPS as their VPN service. So I thought that was cool. But then one problem I found with it was like I want to be able to switch IPs whenever I want, and to do that you have to reinstall, and you have to reinstall the whole server and everything. So that's why I created this, so that you can move the server really easily. Yeah, what's your question, FC Node? You still there? All right. Well, I'll wait for your question to. Oh, there it is. Oh yeah. So FC Node, he doesn't know how to get started. He wants to build a Python project. For example, a simple name that generates, or a simple app that generates names, but I have no clue where to start. So yeah, getting started learning how to program is like the hardest part, and like it gets easier the more that you learn. And like once you've been doing it for a while, like even learning new languages becomes like you can learn them really quickly because you already know like they have so much in common. But anyways, getting started. So how I got started was like I wanted to learn how to program like for many years, and I spent several years like not knowing what to do, but like reading about programming. And I remember like asking people what book should I read to learn programming and stuff like that. And then what I've learned since then is that like the best way to learn programming is, like you said, to make a simple app, like a really simple app, like your name generator. The way to get started is like, I mean, you have to learn, like watch some videos or read enough classes that you start to get familiar with the concepts of like variables and conditional, like if else, and looping for each of these do this. And then, but as soon as you can get over that initial learning curve, try to build your first app. So if you want to build a name generator, I'll just write it for you real quick to show you how I would go about thinking about how like what, you know, it's like putting into words like how you think about it, because if you can think it through, then you know what to Google, and then you'll figure out the steps. Let's see if I can pull something up. Hopefully this doesn't have like passwords in it or something. Yeah, no problem. I love helping people get started. Hold on, I'm just checking to make sure I don't have any like passwords or something open right now. All right, I'm just gonna. So PyCharm is PyCharm's it's an IDE. So what that means is that like you can type in Python and then hit run, and it'll like show you the output. So it's really great for beginners, and it's really great for like I'm just gonna make up a bullshit file here real quick. It's great for like testing snippets of code really quick. Now you'll see me writing in here. This is just a text editor called Sublime. So like I'd say like once you get better at programming, whatever, you don't need to constantly run your code because you know what you're doing. And when you do want to run it, you upload it to like your production server and run it. So I just write inside of a text editor, and there's no way for me to hit run or anything like that. It just sits in this text file that has nice colors and stuff. But yeah, to write like a name generator, you'd probably want to you've been streaming your struggle and hope that someone will help you. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's really hard to like when I started learning programming, I actually didn't know anyone that knew how to program. So that was one of the hardest parts, was just like begging for people's help on Stack Overflow and stuff and like getting banned because I asked stupid questions. So that's pretty much how I got started too, is just struggling. But yeah, let's write a name generator real quick. So like, can you tell me more about like why you want to make a name generator, or like what you want it to do? Do you want it to generate random names from a list of names? I think we could just start with that. Like, so you have to learn like the concepts of like what a list is. So like a list is like a group of things. A variable is like a single thing. And that could be anything. So name equals Riley is my name. A list of names could be like Riley and comma FC node. Oh, you just saw someone mentioned a random name generator. So like let's just do a random name generator where it says like print the random name is blank. So right now, if you run it, it will say the random name is Riley, but that's not random. And this is giving an error because I'm doing it in Python 3 when I want to do it in Python 2. So I'll switch. I'll just start with Python 2. There, the random name is Riley. So now if I want to make it actually random, and I want to do so now if I want to actually select a random name from this list, then I would use the random library. So import random. And like you wouldn't know to import random, so you'd have to like Google what is a Python random library. Oh, you've used random module before? Cool. And remember, like, if you're working in Python 2 or 3, it's a little bit different. So here's the documentation for Python 2, and it tells you how to use it. I want to give it a random integer from 1 to 3. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 options. So I want to pick a number between 0 and 3. Now remember, when you're talking about lists, they start at 0. So if I do, and comment this out real quick, that's a comment. If I want to print Riley, I'll print list 0, and that will print Riley. Because it's 0, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Oh, I just recommend Python 2. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Maybe you should just start with Python 3. The reason I started with Python 2 is just because, like, I read people saying that there's more support for it. But, I mean, that was a few years ago when I started, and now 3 is probably better. So it doesn't really matter which one you pick because pretty much everything is compatible with both. So I personally, if you look at my code, I actually programmed everything in Python 2 just because that's just what I got started programming in when I never really like tried to learn the differences or anything. So I've been programming in Python 2 the whole time and never had a need for Python 3. So if you do print list 0, that's Riley. If you do print list 1, that's FC node. But we want to select a random one. So we're going to replace this with random name, which is really a number. It's not a name, it's really a random number between 0 and 3. So I'll change the name of the variable to random number. And then I will print the random name is, we'll do name equals list random number, print the random name is name. The random name is name1. And then if you run it again, the random name is FC node. Oh, ASCII list. Oh, okay, you're trying to generate like if you do string.ascii lowercase. Yeah, like you could just populate this name list with something whatever you need. But you could pull this list from something else too, like you could create this list somehow with a bunch of names. Like, let's go get a list of names. List of English first names. So you have to go get your data source, and you know, you can make it more interesting if you like wrote a web scraper to like try and make yourself figure out how you can get these names into a list. So if you wrote a web scraper that like went and grabbed them, and then you could like do list.append new name, and then you can like keep adding to them. Oh, it's add, I think. I don't remember. But yeah, I use random. I've actually got random in my program because when you're selecting a location, you can select a random location, and it does the same thing that I just showed you. It generates a random number, and then that random number like figures out in the list which one it is. So, oh, append. I don't know why it aired out. Yeah, I thought it was append. Oh, but I'm doing brackets this way. I gotta do this. I gotta do parentheses instead of brackets. Yep, you're right. Good catch. Yep, see now new names in our list, and the random name this time is FC Node. That's what it was last time. There, now it's Riley. Looks like the random name is always Riley. No, there we go. Name 1, name 2, name 1, name 2. Huh. It's funny. But yep, that's how you do a random name generator. Yeah, see, you know more than you think. But yeah, think about something you want to make. Like what I would recommend for a first program is like automate something, like something that you're doing repetitively. Like I just wrote a program the other day that automated something. What's it called? Is it this one? Yeah, this one. So I wanted like as part of my job for work, I had to like one of the things I had to do one day was like get all these things and turn it into one line. So I was sitting there for like an hour doing this, like freaking. I was sitting there backspacing like this at work. I had a whole list of like 100 of these directives I had to do. So I was just like sitting there deleting white space and stuff. And then I was like, well, screw this. I'm gonna write a program to do it. And so I did. So now when I run this program, it outputs it to a single line, and I can feed it all these things, and it dumps it. It removes all the white space and stuff. So like, those are good first programs. Yeah, making web scrapers is really fun. So some of the first programs that I wrote were web scrapers, and like one of the first really big programs that I wrote was it was a web scraper that scraped these plain text game reports. So I played on this game server, and one of the first programs I wrote would like go to this website, download all these text files, and parse out all the data and save it into a database. So then you could see like how many times you beat your friend, and like all these different statistics, like what the most common map name was that was being played, and like all this stuff that you never really knew before, because this was the only type of game report that you had until I wrote this program that like parsed them all and put them in a database. That was really fun. Another early program that I wrote was like on Upwork. I found a job where they were looking for someone to make like firmware automators, like automatic upgrader. It was basically, I wrote a program that logged into a router, upgraded its firmware, and then they gave that to their technician, and they had to upgrade like 1,000 router firmware. So he'd plug in, they'd run this Python program, it would log into the router, and then run a couple commands to upgrade its firmware, like stuff like that, like automation, command line. That way you don't have to deal with like complicated stuff, and you don't have to learn about classes or anything like that. Like, just get started doing something. Cool, yeah, no problem, man. All right, well, I'm probably gonna get back to I'm trying to crank out some code tonight, but definitely hit me up anytime you get stuck. I'll be your mentor. Like I said, I didn't have anybody to help me. I didn't know anybody that knew programming, so I had to rely on other people. And yeah, so just paying it forward. Yeah, no problem, dude. You quit school. What were you in college? You want to be a programmer? What was 3 years of study? What you're already studying, or you mean programming will be 3 years of study? Oh, were you already doing a degree in IT? Oh yeah, there's no programming in an IT degree. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Even if you were learning programming in college, it's probably so archaic, like learning like C or something, like some of those programming classes that make no one want to ever be a programmer. Yeah, that's pretty typical though. Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, I'm just finishing up my degree actually right now too. I have 2 classes left in my degree at Western Governors University, and I'm getting a degree in IT security. There's a little bit of programming, a little bit of classes on like object oriented programming and stuff, but it wasn't very much. Decent program overall, definitely not like cutting edge or anything, but just so I can get my degree done. Something I've been working on for a few years. I'm about to finish finally. Still good to have, you know. All right, back to this crap. I gotta finish this thing. What did they mean sell hardware? You could be like a computer salesman. Server name. Let's change this to. It's computer salesman, yeah. Yeah, no problem, dude. I'm trying to code this thing up, get some code done tonight, but yeah, just hit me up, Twitter, whatever. Yeah, Google about web scraper. Just hit me up. I've done a ton of web scraper. I can share some code with you. Beautiful Soup is something you'll want to look into. That's a web scraper, or it's a parser, and then so to get the websites, you use the request library. That's what that's where you say like you make a request to get the web page. Once you have the web page, then you have it in a variable or whatever. Then to sort through it and pull out the little pieces that you want, you're going to want to use a combination of Beautiful Soup, which is an HTML parser. So that'll narrow it down to like certain CSS classes. If you remember from doing HTML and CSS, if there's like a certain CSS class you're looking for, it'll help you pull that specific thing out, or an HTML like ID. So you pull out one little chunk of HTML, and then from there, if that's not specific enough, then you also want to learn how to use regex, like regular expressions. So then that will make it so that you can filter down even more further. And then from there, you might want to learn how to use MySQL or SQLite or whatever it's called, to like store stuff into a database. And then yeah, from there you've done like a whole backend. Then you can make a front end if you wanted to show the database to someone and they could search it or something. And then you want to make a front end. But yeah, web scraping backends are fun. Like I said, I made that whole text game report parser and stuff. That was cool. I'm not sure what you mean. Oh, it's gonna suck. It's not that hard actually, but it's actually a really useful skill to do web scraping. And if you look on Upwork, I mean, you have to sift through all the bullshit that's on Upwork. But if you could, like, there's a lot of like web scraping jobs because like people want web scrapers for marketing. So like, say you sell like here's like a real life example. Like, say you sell like Corvette parts or something, and you might want to hire a web scraper to scrape every single email address off of corvetteforums.com or something, and then you can use that to like spam people about your Corvette parts. But at least it's targeted towards people who are interested in Corvettes. You know, something like that, where you there's a lot of things like that, and web scraping comes in handy for that for marketing. So there's a lot of jobs that you can get and stuff if you know how to do it. And it's also like fun. I really like writing web scrapers. I'll be right back, guys. I have to look at a password file, so I'm going to stop the stream for just a second, and then I'll turn it back on. So, one sec.